Weather Gang, happy to highlight that our temperatures are slowly heading up this week, near to above average, maybe even 50s by the end of this week. And precipitation chances, while limited, do have some mentions worth mentioning. Maybe some freezing drizzle tomorrow morning for the morning commute, is mainly sticking east of town. Probability is low, but of course, if it were to happen, impact is low, medium at least. And then we do have maybe some snowflakes mixing in later tomorrow night, but again, no major impacts expected, but just don't want you to be surprised. So we will go over the details that we know so far. David, good evening. Happy National Weather Person's Day. That's very nice of you. Hello, Ruth Elisa. Thank you so much for tuning in. As you can see here, we have generally sunny skies dominating the week ahead. And for our latest forecast, you can go to my forecast actually at CWG.news/latest right there. And we should have the PM update for you soon on capitalweathergang.com. Michael, I know a lot of people are somehow on the internet worried or interested in the Valentine's Day snow, but we don't have any discrete deterministic storm to speak of. I'm sure someone found in one of the 50 background simulations an interesting snowfall slide to show on the internet, but nope. We will keep you posted at capitalweathergang.com, and snow potential index will be updated every day as we get closer to any particular accumulating snowfall chance. Laura, yes, I am glad that all my tests throughout this past week, you can hear me now, and thank you for your patience with last week's issues. So hopefully, fingers crossed, I have gone through many different companies and fixed everything this week. Thank you, Sam and Ruth Elisa. Snowfall, probably not anytime soon in Springfield, but we'll go over what may be in the offing over the next 24 hours in just a moment. Paul, hello, and hello from Baltimore, and Eloise. Thank you, Peter. Good to talk to both of you. And Janet, yes, I'm glad that you can hear me as well this week. Thanks for putting up with last week's issues that I have fixed all week. Fingers crossed. So now let's talk about the very low probability potential for ice tomorrow morning, freezing drizzle. It is very hard to predict. It is a very small little layer of the atmosphere, but it would most likely, if it happens, stay east of the bay tomorrow morning. So unless you live east of 95 and even more so east of the bay, you probably don't have too much to worry about. No reason to ring the alarm bells, but just want you to be aware the timing is for around the morning commute tomorrow morning. Temperatures likely to be below freezing. And the precipitation, while light, doesn't take much for a quick drizzle to accumulate on sub-freezing surfaces. So just want you to be aware that it is in our region, but mainly on the eastern part of our region for tomorrow morning. And it is unlucky timing for eastern parts of Maryland, perhaps. And it's not even guaranteed to transpire, to materialize, but worth flagging. No one likes to drive in freezing drizzle for their morning commute. And here's why we're not too worried. Precipitation over the next 48 hours, pretty darn light. It is pretty darn east of us from the DC area, east of 95 for the most part. Yes, we could see some light aspects, as you see in the gray there, on the western side of this shield of precipitation over the next 48 hours. And yes, there is a slight chance that a storm system staying off the coast throws us in the blue shading there, some mixed precipitation over the next maybe Monday late afternoon, Monday evening. Perhaps rain could mix with some snowflakes. Accumulation 10% or less of a dusting, if that. Road should be okay, and we're really keeping our snow potential index at a 1 for a reason. We are not worried about this having any travel impacts or commuting impacts at this time for tomorrow evening as well. So we will keep you posted at capitalweathergang.com. And of course, I really appreciate you following us on our social media accounts, and that's where we'll keep you updated, especially on Twitter. We do quick updates at CWG.news/Twitter, and on Facebook and YouTube as well. I'm simulcasting to all 3 locations tonight, and I'm glad everyone can hear me, and the video seems to be good. And I appreciate you all having patience last week for the millions of things I could write a book about on the troubleshooting with these live streams that I am happy to be successful this week. So sunset and sunrise, we now have almost 10 and a half hours of daylight, and I'm talking to you later and later as we go closer into the spring. 5:35 p.m. right now is our sunset, and you'll speak to me a few minutes later next week as well. And I should say happy solar spring. We now are into a brighter quarter of the year. We're out of our darkest quarter of the year, and you're probably feeling that with longer day length as well, and hopefully enjoying a little more sunlight lately, like I am as well. Janet and Chris, appreciate you tuning in. And Evangeline, yes, the week is rising temperatures, and we have near to above average temperatures coming this week. And here's average really quick for today anyway, 46 degrees. Tomorrow starts average high temperatures of 47 degrees. So look at all that sunshine, and we'll talk about kind of the Monday forecast in just a moment. It's a little bit of a separate small range in the forecast, but overall temperatures are rising to near or above average, and ample sunshine this week. I did put a little breeze icon on Tuesday. We could see some breezes throughout the region, give us some slight wind chills, but overall, to answer your question, we do have Evangeline, a warmer, thawing week ahead, so please enjoy that. Hello, Charlene in Glenville, Pennsylvania, and Chris. Wow, you're moving back to Florida. I appreciate all your kind words, and I hope you'll tune in from time to time. And Stephanie, tomorrow morning, schools for delays, unlikely around town. But let's be clear, it is a little close for comfort. It's a only freezing drizzle potential. It's unlikely to transpire, but even though it's a low probability, low possibility of happening, road surfaces could be below freezing. And yes, this little bit of an ice event is very short-lived, very light, and it should stay well east of town. But we could see some patchy freezing drizzle closer to town. We'll keep you posted at capitalweathergang.com and of course on our social media accounts. CWG.news/Twitter is a really good one for quick hitting updates, and of course the blog anytime you need us, or at capitalweathergang.com. So we'll watch it for you, and it should be a short-lived aspect to tomorrow morning's commute if it develops at all. So Stephanie, in short, no widespread school closings or delays expected tomorrow just yet. David, yes, these later Sunday sunset chats because we're later and later sunsets. And Evangeline, I'm glad you like the good news as well. And freezing drizzle is hard to predict. We're talking about a very small layer of the atmosphere, very light precipitation. And here's all the different types of winter precipitation here. And we're talking about freezing rain right here, which is a tiny layer. Rain is falling through a tiny layer right above the ground and at the ground of freezing to sub-freezing temperatures below 32 degrees. And it could freeze on contact for the unlucky locations well east of town that have a low possibility, low probability of seeing anything, but freezing drizzle can accumulate over a couple hours if the event even lasts that long. Light freezing drizzle for the morning commute just sounds pretty bad. Wanted to flag it for you. Even if it doesn't transpire, it is no fun to think about Monday morning commute in freezing rain. And it's really just freezing drizzle we're talking about tomorrow morning. So just keep that in mind. It's hard to predict, but we see the small potential there, again, mainly east of the bay for tomorrow morning. But folks along and east of 95, we'll keep one eye open tonight just to make sure nothing changes. All right, precipitation over the next 48 hours, it is light. That's why we're not too worried about wintry precipitation over the next 48 hours. Even if it does, the rain showers generally are the predominant precipitation form. But if a little bit of light freezing drizzle tomorrow morning or some snowflakes mix in with rain tomorrow evening, it doesn't last long. It's very light, and we do get near or above 40 degrees tomorrow. So we don't really expect much in the way of accumulation. So Mike, is spring coming early? Probably not just yet, but Mike, we are thawing out this week with some temperatures maybe in the 50s by the end of this week. So I hope you like the sound of that. And the latest forecast, my forecast at capitalweathergang.com, at CWG.news/latest. And enjoy that sunshine this week. We've got a little bit of breeze there in the emoji I put on there for Tuesday. Let's point to it right there. I can do this. There it is. My little blowing icon emoji for Tuesday. And then, yes, some raindrops are possible for tomorrow. And we're watching east of town tomorrow, east of the bay most likely. It's the only area concerned about maybe an hour or two of freezing drizzle in the early morning commuting hours, and maybe some snowflakes mixing in, especially east of town for tomorrow evening, but no evening commute impacts expected at this time. So a little bit of a mix, maybe more than just rain, but really you can see how warm we're getting tomorrow. That's why the impact is low and the worry is low on this, if any, winter precipitation does develop. So let me show you the setup for along the coast. This is an offshore storm system kind of getting going around the North Carolina coast. Tomorrow evening is this map. And in the blue around our region, and you can see it doesn't go very far west of the DC area, we could see some mixed precipitation with the rain tomorrow. Accumulation, under 10% chance of happening, but we will keep you posted at capitalweathergang.com if there are any changes. really, we're good tomorrow. We want to keep the anxiety low, but worth flagging, well east of town, if not east of the bay tomorrow morning, an hour or two of freezing drizzle. And then maybe for your evening commute, while no impact to your commute expected, don't freak out if you see a few flakes mix in with the rain tomorrow afternoon and evening. So I am Camden Walker for CapitalWeatherGang.com, simulcasting to you on YouTube, on Twitter, on Facebook, and our sunsets are getting later and later. Look at that, almost 10 and a half hours of daylight. We are getting closer and closer to 10 and a half hours of daylight. And I think by the time you talk to me next Sunday, which will be a few minutes later, as sunset gets later, we've got more and more daylight coming your way. And appreciate you tuning in and also dealing with my last week technical issues that I have worked hard to resolve this week. So I'm glad you can hear me and see me. This is fantastic. So as always, CapitalWeatherGang.com. I'm Camden Walker. Appreciate you tuning in to these weekly Sunday sunset chats. Scott Walker says, please cancel all snow. Want no more. Julia, you're most welcome. Thanks for tuning in. And Charlene, you're looking forward to several consecutive dry days. Yes, indeed. Once we get past tomorrow, mainly light patchy rain event tomorrow. But we do have generally dry days ahead after tomorrow. So that's great, Charlene, that you'll cash in and you're going to tend to your lawn and gardens, but you're glad that they're saturated. Yes, indeed, we're doing pretty well in the precipitation front. So let's look ahead over the next 7 days. The accumulation expected mainly sticking south and east of town. That's kind of the storm track we're going to see this week. So around DC and points north and west could stay fairly dry. And our drought situation is under control, especially east of the Mississippi, but even in the DC area, the mid-Atlantic, maybe a couple spots still well south and southwest of town do have a little bit of drought patchiness there, only the first level of drought, luckily. So it's easily alleviated by these precipitation events that are coming up. And I think the hydrology behind it over the next month or two, we kind of expect the removal of those patchy drought areas southwest of the DC area. And then let's look while we're looking ahead. Saturday could be a little bit warm. Maybe we'll see a plunge of colder air on Sunday this weekend. We'll keep you posted at CapitalWeatherGang.com as we get closer. And Elizabeth is thinking about seeds. Excellent. I hope you can plant some. And love the maps, Rebecca. You're most welcome. I'm glad you can handle that pretty well. That's great. I'm glad you can see those. All right. So we have got, looking ahead, some maybe near normal conditions. Northwest of town, maybe temperatures slightly below normal, probabilistically speaking, does not guarantee a magnitude or severity of any cold blast, but really we're looking at just a very atmosphere is leaning maybe a little bit cool northwest of town, but really around town we're generally near normal in the 8 to 14 day period. So this is generally next work week, and the benchmark for our temperature average would be about 48 degrees for high temperature at DCA Airport around then. Precipitation also looks like it's near normal, so not leaning dry, not leaning wet. So we are still in decent shape, but sorry snow lovers, at this point so far, there's not a signal just yet very strong for a major snowstorm in the coming work week next week, but we'll keep an eye on it. And yes, our snow has added up this year, 12.3 inches season to date, which is running above average. And of course, at this point, when I talk about snowfall and to those less fortunate without a home, please see our CWG.news/fundraiser there, our ongoing fundraiser for this winter. Thank you so much. All right, let's get back to the forecast at a glance. Right now, we are looking at maybe east of town, mainly east of the bay, an hour or two of freezing drizzle, slightly possible tomorrow morning for the morning commute. Around town, we should be okay. And then tomorrow evening, perhaps a few snowflakes mixing in with rain as we get a storm system exiting off of the coast and staying off the coast, luckily, just moving further and further away. Besides the limited chances for precipitation, mainly rain, tomorrow, we do have a dry week ahead, pretty good sunshine levels, which I'm excited about. And you can see I put a little breeze icon there on Tuesday. We could see some breezes, so keep that in mind. It could be, at times, a little bit breeze chilled throughout the day on Tuesday, but at least we have some sunshine. I wrote the latest forecast at CWG.news/latest, and anytime you need us, we're at CapitalWeatherGang.com. And yes, we had the anniversary today on CapitalWeatherGang.com. We wrote about the anniversary, I think it was Snowzilla, David. So check it out. Even though I'm not perfect at remembering the names of all those storms that year. Wow, but it's been good to remember the anniversary of all that snow. And Hamilton, thanks for tuning in. And Robert, slight chance of freezing rain, light patchy freezing drizzle tomorrow morning, Robert. Let's look at that. It's fairly close to you in the Annapolis area, so do keep an eye on things. Maybe wake up, check the latest at capitalweathergang.com or another trusted weather source. Always have more than one. We are all about that. And we should, it's very low probability, but we should have a better idea later tonight if this transpires. But it's just hard to predict, must admit. It's hard to predict a little layer of sub-freezing air where rain is falling through it and refreezing as it hits the surface. So here's the freezing rain graphic right there, and all of these types of wintry precipitation. It is very difficult to find a small area of freezing drizzle, but luckily does not look long lasting. It looks very light around the bay and mainly east of the bay tomorrow morning, but we'll keep you posted at capitalweathergang.com and on our social media channels later tonight if anything develops or changes. It's not a big deal, not worth ringing the alarm bells, but maybe add a few minutes extra to your morning commute tomorrow morning if you live well east of town, especially east of the bay, just to play it safe. Thanks as always for tuning in. Later and later sunsets for these weekly Sunday sunset chats. We're almost to 10.5 hours of daylight. I'm simulcasting to you live on YouTube, on Twitter, on Facebook. I'm Cameron Walker for capitalweathergang.com. Go there for the blog anytime you need us. Tim, I don't know if it's quite time to start planting the garden just yet. Robert, thanks for tuning in. You're most welcome. And Snowmageddon, and thanks for that. The anniversary of Snowmageddon is today. And we wrote about that on capitalweathergang.com blog this weekend. And Alex, indeed, I know you're a warm weather lover. We'll try and get you some 50s by the end of this week. And get rid of the snow, says Joe. And Omar cannot wait for spring. Yes, bike rides would be nice. I agree. I am not riding as much as I want to. And we've got, I think I've caught up on all the questions and comments. Excellent. So let's go back to the forecast and we'll run through everything in the next few minutes. I'm online broadcasting the next 3 minutes or so. There's our average high temperature, 46 degrees for this time of year. And we are heading near to above average by the end of the week. Look at that, 50s are possible. And latest forecast at CWG.news/latest. We do talk about the chance for very light, patchy, freezing drizzle for the morning commute tomorrow morning. We think it's going to stay not only east of I-95, but east of the bay. And it's a very low probability of happening, but because it is a decent impact when it happens, even if it's just an hour or two of freezing drizzle, we want you to allow maybe a little extra time for your morning commute tomorrow morning and stay tuned to capitalweathergang.com or another trusted weather source, and we'll keep you posted. And then again, tomorrow night, we could see some flakes mix in and not accumulate as rain exits. And here's a map just to give you the general geography of area of where we think a little bit of rain. A great graphic by the National Weather Service, a little bit of patchy freezing drizzle possible tomorrow morning for the morning commute. But again, look how far east of town that is. And we're not too worried. Over the next 48 hours, precipitation, even if it does mix with some wintry aspects, very light. And you can see we're barely in the gray shading. We're barely getting above a trace of precipitation in DC proper and right along I-95. But freezing drizzle is nothing to sneeze at if it does happen. It's just hard to predict because we're talking about a very thin layer of the atmosphere right near the surface, at or below freezing. Rain is falling through it and then potentially freezing on contact, creating an annoying mess, an impact to your cars, to road services. So I'm just wanted to flag that for you. No reason for anxiety or alarm, but it is possible tomorrow morning well east of town. And maybe, a tiny chance around town, but we'll keep you posted at capitalweathergang.com. Looks very unlikely as it stands now. Tomorrow evening, this map depicts in the blue some mixed precipitation around the region. Really, it's a rain story tomorrow. Rain is the main precipitation as the storm system pulls off continually more and more offshore from the North Carolina coast. So even though you see blue mixed precipitation indicated here, it really is just a few flakes mixing in as we get toward the evening. No accumulation really expected, but we will of course keep an eye on it and keep you posted. So we've got over the coming week, precipitation mainly favoring south and east of town. That's the main storm track. That's what you should kind of get from this map. Could be dry around DC for the most part and points north and west, but we're doing okay in the rain department. We're running above average lately, and only well southwest of town do we have a couple patches left of drought. So we are doing okay with that. And here are the temperatures for looking ahead to Saturday. Could be one last warm day before maybe a colder Sunday. We'll keep you posted on that. Temperatures, though, really barely, if at all, leaning below average for next work week, and precipitation near normal for the most part for next work week as well. And here's where we have our snow tracker. And because it's our winter fundraiser, I want to highlight we are doing an ongoing CWG.news/fundraiser for gifts for the homeless. So thanks for looking at that. If you get a chance, $5 is maybe all you can donate, but 100% goes to warm clothes for the homeless. There's no overhead, no fees. These amazing volunteers do great work in the DC area, so thanks for looking into that if you have a moment. Stefani wants some snow. I'm sorry, that is very unlikely in the week ahead. Maybe some flakes tomorrow evening, mixing in with some rain. That's the best I can do for you. And sorry, no snow, Stefani and Catherine. Hopefully the warm weather continues through the weekend. I'll give you Saturday perhaps. Worried for you warm weather lovers. Sunday could be cold this upcoming weekend. And daffodils are peaking. Wow. Warmer weather, Dawn. Maybe the daffodils further peak out of the soil later this week with 50s possible as we really finally get above average in our temperatures. And our average today, just for reference, is 46 degrees for high temperature at DC Airport. Anytime you need us, we're at capitalweathergang.com. Thanks for tuning in tonight. The latest forecast, which I happen to write, is at CWG.news/latest. I'm Cameron Walker for Capital Weather Gang. And Stefani, we have plenty of snow season ahead of us, so do hang in there. Don't worry just yet. We're not retiring our Snow Potential Index, or SPI, just yet on capitalweathergang.com. I will see you all next week as we have a later and later sunset. So thanks for tuning in as always. And